here. What do you give on it? 25, 50, 75, $100,000. You are listening to the Auction is Action with You in It podcast presented by Call to Auction, where our favorite four-letter word is S-O-L-D. Sold. Hello there, everyone. Bobby D with the Auction is Action with You in It podcast. And here we are getting ready for another episode. Today, we are talking about irrational generosity, the secret sauce of fundraising events. Now, I've been using this term over the last year in many of the conversations I've been having on podcasts and videos. And the reason I have been is because I've seen it happen in real time. And it's true. You can create that vibe of irrational generosity at your fundraising events. Now, what is irrational generosity? Well, why would somebody spend $10,000 on a glass of water? Why would somebody spend $85,000 on a Christmas tree? Why would somebody give way more than something is worth at a fundraising gala? Well, that's what it's about. It's irrational generosity, and it's absolute magic. It's all about tapping into that emotion, that momentum, that energy, the mission, and that unlocks unprecedented giving. There you are, irrational generosity. Now, this irrational generosity is something that defies logic and it defies budget, and it's driven by emotion, not calculation. This is something that is beyond so many of us. I mean, this is 99% of the world would totally go to a fundraising gala and be like, yeah, no. But that's okay, because we're not talking to the 99%. We are talking to the 1%. They want to make an impact in the world with their philanthropy. And many ways that they can do that is with this irrational generosity through the live auction. Now, there's many ways that I've seen this happen. And one of my favorite stories, I was working with an organization, and they had this big festival of trees. And within this festival of trees, they had these these designer trees that were created by these world famous designers. And we would auction the trees off, and then they would have a fire department deliver them the next day. And it was like a whole thing. So in the auction, we had the premier tree. This was the last tree of the night. This was the biggest tree. It was like a 20-footer, and it was priceless the way that they had put this together. I mean, the ornaments and the decorations, and they also had put in a whole bunch of other extras. I think there was like a trip to Hawaii in there, and there was some gift certificates to different places, and a bunch of like their AirPods and iPads and cool toys and all this kind of stuff. And we ended up getting the auction going, and it was going 5,000, 5,500, 6,000, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50, 60, 75,000, 85,000, 95,000, $100,000. Well, we had two individuals that were in the audience, and both of them were CEOs of their own prospective, really, really successful companies. And one stands up and says, you know what? I don't even want the tree, but I'm going to donate $100,000 if that guy over there buys this tree for $100,000. Well, guess what happened? He did. He bought the tree. He got the tree, and the other gentleman matched that donation. It was $100,000, $200,000 that was raised in just a split second, because there was that air that was in the room of irrational generosity. And then immediately once that happened, somebody cracked open a bottle of champagne and started spraying it, and we had confetti cannons. It was absolutely amazing. Never seen anything like that happen in my entire life. But now we're starting to see it more and more and more. And it's really all about the neuroscience of giving and the psychology of giving. It's really creating an opportunity for those big dogs, those 1% that do want to stand out and above everyone else, and they want to give irrationally. Totally cool with that. We want that. That's social proof of people being irrationally generous, and that's what we're looking for. And these individuals, they really feed off that oxytocin and that adrenaline that's there, and we've got to set that energy up. So now we've got to set it. We've got to create it. We have to create this conditions for irrational generosity, and the way that we do that is through, number one, emotional storytelling. We got to talk about impact. We've got to talk about mission moments. We got to show videos. We've got to show real people. We've got to show that these dollars are affecting lives, and these dollars are changing lives, and they're changing communities. And when you can do that, and you tug at those heartstrings, and you hit that front right part of the brain, then you're able to tap into this irrational generosity. Now, you need to really create the right energy. This is number two. You've got to have the right pacing of your timeline, of your program. It can't be boring. It's got to be energetic. It's got to build to what I call the golden goosebump moment. Each thing that's said, as soon as someone's at the microphone, needs to build and build and build and build and get us to that space. Now, it's also including maybe music. I love using musical bumpers in my live auction, using some song, like let's say we're selling a trip to Hawaii and we play Margaritaville leading into that, or maybe it's a sports game and we get that, that stadium rock going, something like that, and creating a pep rally feel at your live auction. And then it's also your auctioneer performance. You've got to have somebody on stage that can drive those bids, that can challenge these bidders to be irrationally generous, and having someone that's there, the right person with the right time, with the right sayings, with the right momentum and the right energy, and sometimes the right hair can really help you with that. And we're creating this social momentum is what it's really, really all about. It's about creating these maybe live testimonials from donors about why that they like to give. It's about getting that energy in the audience. Maybe there's noisemakers, maybe there's the Homer Hankies, that are out there. If you were a Minnesota Twins fan in the 90s, you know what those were. But it's really talking about that and really clarifying your impact. Like, people give to people when they know what they're giving to. And the more that your donors trust you, the more that they are going to give. So we really have to build that trust and build that energy in that room and elevate the vibe. Now, speaking of that vibe, there's some mistakes that can kill the vibe. Now, we don't want any BS. That's right. No boring speeches is what I was going to say. We don't need boring speeches. That's going to kill that. We don't need that. If you do not have that emotional connection in the room and you haven't created that, then nobody's going to give more than they thought they were going to give. You've got to, definitely, share some statistics. But what storytelling is storytelling with data behind it. That's what you're really trying to create, is like showing, like, look, this is the individual. This is who we're impacting. And yes, the dollars and, the percentage of those that are graduate, that we've, graduated into college, and, the percentage of the population that still needs our help, or, XYZ, whatever that is. If it's just data, people are just going to glaze over and be like, okay, well, what is my dollars going to do? That's, there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that still need the survey. But it's showing that individual connection. So you've got to have that emotional connection, and you've got to have that within your data. You've got to really lead with the heart. And then you've got to have someone that's ready to give. You've got to have someone that's ready to maybe raise that paddle at 10,000, 15,000, 25,000, whatever it's going to be, having someone ready to make that irrational bid in that live auction. And a lot of times you can set this up for success leading into the event. Now, I don't want anybody to be false about this and nobody to be unethical, but you got to do some development work. I'm sorry, development people. You got to get out there. You got to find these lead gifts. You got to find these people that are ready to bid on these auction items way higher than what the value is. So now you've got to have that right person that is going to be on stage. Yes, this is kind of self-serving. Yes, I want you to hire me or my team, but most importantly, I want you to hire a professional. You've got to have someone that is skilled in the psychology and the ability to build that momentum and to build that feeding frenzy that's going to be at the event. We need someone that's not just going to be there to ask. You need someone that's going to be there to inspire. Make that call to action, because remember, auction is action with you in it. And that's what we want. We want everybody in that audience to be a part of this irrational generosity and to feel this spirit. Now, we do have a very strong team that is able to go out and serve nonprofits across the nation. But we also include a team at every event that we're at. And our team members, our hype men, our fundraising ambassadors that are on the floor help to build that energy. I have a saying, motion creates emotion. And every one of my hype men, my fundraising ambassadors, they really help to build that energy and help to build that gratitude and to build the bidding frenzy, because they're there and able to directly have that connection and build that relationship with those bidders. And when we go back to the irrational generosity of the Christmas tree that I had talked about, that was because I had two team members. I had two of my fundraising ambassadors, one on each one of those donors, and they continued to help them and encourage them to bid. And then when we had the measuring contest and the individual said, you know what, I don't even want the tree, but I'll match that guy's donation if he gives $100,000. It happens. And that happens because that we had the right people in the room and we had the right people there to help encourage and create that vibe of irrational generosity. Now, irrational generosity isn't an accident. It's truly a design choice. You're designing the vibe and the energy that's in the room. So you got to design it right. You got to take the time, you got to put the steps in, and you got to use the right strategies and the right people to make this happen. So now I want you to think about these opportunities at your past events that were maybe missed, or those events where you're starting to think about, oh yeah, I think we left some money on the table. Well, guess what? You can fix it. You have everything in your head and in your hands or at your fingertips to be able to help this. And one way to do that is to reach out to us or reach out to other professional fundraising auctioneers, and they can help you to create this vibe of irrational generosity. Now, I'm going to try to keep these as short as possible. So I want to thank you so much for listening in or watching in, whether you're on YouTube or you're on the podcasts, wherever you might be able to receive this information and to use this information to make a transformational change on your event and to create an air of irrational generosity. You can totally do it. But make sure that you check out our website, calltoauction.com. Follow us on Instagram at calltoauction. Check us out on YouTube. We're out there always putting this good stuff out there. Make sure you like, subscribe, send us a review, send us some questions. If you've got any questions about fundraising events and you want to have those answered, come on, reach out. We can do this. Ask us some questions. We're here to help you. Now, we're also looking for guests that would love to have a live analysis of their fundraising event. And if you think that you've got an event that needs some help, please reach out. I'm here to help you. And I want to break down your event, break down the data, break down the timeline, and find out ways that you can improve your fundraising event. And I'll do this all for free. And we'll do it on the podcast. And I'm here to help you. I'm dedicated to your fundraising success. So thank you again, everybody, for listening to the Auction is Action with You in It podcast. Again, my name is Bobby D. I'm your host and CEO and founder and lead auctioneer of Call to Auction. So thanks again, everybody. Go out there, make some action happen, make some impact happen. You are awesome, and we can do this all together. All right. We'll see you on the next episode. Auction is Action with You in It.